What is happening? Welcome to the First Pitch Podcast, your morning podcast from pitcherlist.com. My name is Nick Pollock. Today is May 4th, and we are going to talk about baseball. As always, I am live on Twitch from 8:30 now to 11 a.m. as I'm adding on an extra 45 minutes at the end of my streams at twitch.tv/pitcherlist to focus on watching video of pitchers with all of you. You guys are going to request who we watch. We're going to break it down by an inning, all sequencing, mechanics, all that kind of stuff. So definitely you should be tuning in twitch.tv/pitcherlist every Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. Eastern time to 11 a.m. But we have a lot of news from yesterday. Let's get straight to it. Dustin May is getting Tommy John surgery next week. It's so sad. He finally got whiffs on that curveball and even the cutter too. And now it's just taken away from us. It's incredibly sad. Keston Hiura has been optioned to the alternate site, but Johan Oviedo is starting tonight for the Cardinals, and he's a questionable start on my end. Oviedo, I think long-term, actually has some really, really good stuff in there, but he just needs more innings to fine-tune that command and control. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be able to do that tonight against the Mets, who have been doing pretty well lately with their bats. I don't know if Johan is someone I would be throwing out there in my 12-teamers. Bryce Harper is day-to-day with a wrist injury. He's hoping to avoid the IL, but he's going to have doctors look at that wrist, and hopefully he's back by the weekend series. Jack Peterson has been activated from the IL by the Cubs. Jordan Luplow, quote, jarred his leg a little bit, and he could end up on the IL. It's not what you want to hear. Luis Robert will avoid baseball activities for 12 to 16 weeks. Avoid them, not be back in 12 to 16 weeks. As he has hip surgery, yes, that does mean he is a drop. That's 3 to 4 months, and we've already gone through a full month. So that's a very, very tough bit of news to take in. Jose Alvarado is serving a 2-game suspension beginning tonight. So make sure if you want to maybe vulture some saves, you might want to consider someone else, or at least for holds. Luis Arias is in concussion protocol. JD Davis is officially on the IL for the Mets. Jordan Hicks has a sore forearm. He's getting an MRI. Trevor Story should have been in yesterday's lineup if not for the rain, which is very good news. We were wondering if he would be in the lineup yesterday. Make sure he is slotted in today. Bruce Zimmerman heads back to the alternate site as the Orioles want to limit his innings. Not really a major 12-team play for those in deeper leagues. Zimmerman was someone that was considerable for streaming. Now, of course, he will not be available. And lastly, Anthony Rendon took a foul ball off his knee and was removed from the game. X-rays were negative. Dylan Burris has yesterday's hitting performances. Hunter Dozier went 2 for 5 with a triple, home run, and 2 RBI. It was a brutal start to the season, but over his last 8 games, Dozier has put up a 164 WRC+ and slugged 700 and is now homered in back-to-back games. His plate discipline has been abysmal, though, so he'll need to get his strikeouts under control if he wants to be fantasy relevant. Cedric Mullins went 3 for 5 with a home run, and after a month, Mullins is still top 10 in FWAR and is slashing .333, .389, and .553. He's also locked up the everyday center fielder and leadoff spots, and while I don't think the power will stick too much, he's going to keep getting on base and scoring runs. Nate Lowe went 2 for 5 with a double and a stolen base. Locked into everyday role inside of Texas, Lowe has been raking with a 140 WRC+. The power has been proven 6 home runs, and he seems to have gotten a green light with his 4th stolen base of the season. Yes, Nate Lowe. Even without the bags, though, he's batting in the heart of a surprisingly effective lineup in Texas and should keep producing. Kyle Frank has the reliever notes from yesterday. It's just 2 major things, but let's go into it. Entering the 9th inning with a 3-run lead, Taylor Rogers came in to pick up his 2nd save in as many chances. He was fortunate to have a 3-run lead and has given... Dang it! Almost had it. I'm really upset. He was fortunate to have a 3-run lead, and as he gave up a 2-run home run to Joey Gallo before finishing off the Rangers with a game-ending strikeout. Oh, man. That's 2. I'm fine. He was fortunate to have a 3-run lead as he gave up a 2-run bomb to Joey Gallo before finishing off the Rangers with a game-ending strikeout of Adolis Garcia. The runs were the first 2 earned runs allowed by Rogers this year, who now seems to... Adolis Garcia. I said Adolis, and I just can't get this one out. But not for me. He was fortunate to have a 3-run lead as he gave up a 2-run bomb to Joey Gallo before finishing off the Rangers with a game-ending strikeout to Adolis Garcia. The runs were the first 2 earned runs allowed by Rogers this year, who now seems firmly entrenched as the Twins' closer after Alex Colomé did everything in his power to lose the job. And after Lou Trivino picked up each of the last 3 save chances for Oakland, it was Jake Diekman who got the call to close out the game in this one. He struck out 2 in a dominant 9th inning to end the game, while Trivino gave up a run in the 8th. That now gives Diekman 3 saves for the year compared to Trevino's 5 as they continue to share 9th inning duties, with Trivino still serving as a slight favorite for save chances. Starting pitching performances from yesterday's games, I led with Tyler Anderson, 6.2 innings, 200 runs, 2 hits, 3 walks, and 5 Ks. But the main story was that it was 6 no-hit innings against the Padres. And of course, a bit of careful Icarus here as he allowed all 2 runs in that 7th frame. Is Tyler Anderson legit, is what you're wondering? I wouldn't really think so. If you want a Vargas route, by all means. We've seen Tyler Anderson be this guy before, and what happens is that there are periods of time where all of a sudden he's feeling his fastball command, and the changeup is in there too, and it can kind of surprisingly work. He's like one of those guys that every so often you go, oh, Tyler Anderson, all right, not so bad. In kind of a cherry bomb way, I would not be picking him up in leagues. I would not be chasing this. There's just too much risk involved with Tyler Anderson to me, and for the long term, I really don't think that he's someone that you want to have rostered on your 12-teamers. But hey, if you want to Vargas rule it, by all means. Kenta Maeda went against Texas yesterday and got the win with 5.1 innings, 0 runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. Is Kenta Maeda back? Nah, not really, guys. The changeup, or I should say the split changeup, it wasn't as amazing as we've seen. Yes, I've been waiting for this pitch to come back, and had its moments. Really did. Still was just a 20% CSW, and I'm really waiting for that true dominance where he's setting up batters and all of a sudden throwing that changeup down, and they're swinging over it, and it's a wonderful, wonderful day. The slider didn't make as many mistakes as I've seen, but still, I think the Rangers bailed him out a decent amount of time in this one. And while it does make Maeda very much of a confident start against the Tigers later this week, he's not out of the woods. And if guys are thinking, oh, Maeda is back now, I will certainly sell or buy him at a higher price now, I would do that. I would probably sell Maeda if I'm getting guys more interested. I really do hope, though, that Maeda keeps taking steps forward, and he could continue doing that, but this is not the start for me to say, like, he is completely fixed. Daniel Lynch had his MLB debut yesterday. Really exciting game against Cleveland. 4.2 innings, 300 runs, 4 hits, 4 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Okay, so I like his stuff. It's about mid-90s on a heater from the left side with I think it's a knuckle curve, but they were calling it a slider, but it really looks like a knuckle curve out of his hand. And I was a little surprised to see Cleveland not chase it as much as they did. I do wonder if that's a product of Lynch's, maybe showcasing a little bit too easily, or maybe it's just not as good of a pitch as I thought. But it does pass the eye test, certainly does that. And I will say Lynch certainly was nervous in this outing. So I'm not totally excited about how I feel about Lynch at the moment. If you want to hold on and kind of see how he performs moving forward, I think that might be worthwhile in 12-teamers. But I'm okay letting him go for something else in the short term. Also, the question is, how long are the Royals going to keep him up? I hope they just do it for the foreseeable future, as he certainly should be a step up from some of their guys, like, say, Brad Keller. But we just don't know at this point. And it was really 2 major pitches, maybe 3 with that changeup, as he did get some called strikes on that later on in the game. It's not, I don't quite know what we're going to get from Lynch yet. And Shane McClanahan, for example, his stuff way, way better to me than what we saw from Daniel Lynch. But I also will think, hey, like 74 pitches yesterday, maybe he's up to 85 next time, and he doesn't have the same nerves. Maybe that can be a lot better. Aaron Civale was on the other side of that, 5.2 innings, 300 runs, 7 hits, 3 walks, and 2 Ks against the Royals. And I think it's a question of, what do we really see the ceiling of Aaron Civale being? Because his repertoire is a kitchen sink, right? He has a curveball that is a very good performing one, but only threw 21% of the time. He has his four-seamer that he's comfortably elevating, a cutter that he gets strikes with. It's a lot of options, but there's nothing that's really overwhelming batters. And that pitch that Civale says, okay, cool, you're a righty, I'm just going to demolish you with that cutter away, or or that big curveball. It doesn't really feel like that with Civale. And while he will be a good quality start guy, as Cleveland will let him pitch a ton, it's not that, I don't think that he has that ceiling of a top 20 guy. So plan accordingly here. If you see managers in your league that are willing to buy Civale as a top 25 arm, they see the sub 3, or really I should say sub 3.5 ERA and the 105 WHIP. They're thinking, oh man, this is a quality guy through the entire season. I would be selling high on Aaron Civale. As you guys see on the list, I'm much higher on guys like John Means and Tyler Mahle and Pablo Lopez, etc., because I think they have that higher ceiling that Civale doesn't quite have. Think of him as like a slightly better Toby in this way. Frankie Montas went against Toronto, and he survived. He had a poor quality start, 6 innings of 300 runs, 7 hits, 1 walk, and 4 Ks. It's not all there yet for Montas, as the slider and splitter aren't quite the fantastic secondary pitches that we saw in 2019. But his fastball, I think, is good. It's a 96 plus at the moment. And I think when he's not facing the Jays, even outside of Dunedin, this was in Oakland, still, they are an elite offense right now, especially with George Springer there. And I think we have to give Frankie Montas a little bit of slack. This is, I still think, one of the best buy lows you can make. I mean, it's Charlie Morton and Frankie Montas right now, and Luis Castillo, to me, are the primo 3 buy lows right now. Frankie Montas is certainly someone I think moving forward you should still be trusting. Really surprising start from Jose Quintana yesterday, who wasn't even supposed to start. It was supposed to be Shohei Ohtani, not Jose Quintana. 3.2 innings, 5 runs, 6 hits, 1 walk. That's standard affair against the Rays. But then 9 strikeouts as Quintana earned the gallows pole. He had the most whiffs of any starter. He had 17 on his curveball. He went 50%. He went ham on his curveball yesterday. What? I remember so distinctly a writer that I was really close with back in like 2017 or so went on Chicago radio and was like, hey, Nick, I'm going on about Jose Quintana. Can you tell me something about him? I was like, yeah, he is not executing with his curveball. And I really miss that older curveball he used to have, but he's still struggling to find it. And that has been the story for years. I've been waiting ages to find Quintana's curveball, and all of a sudden yesterday, hey, 17 whiffs. Like, what? It's mind-blowing to me. Yes, I know 5 earned runs, 6 hits, 1 walk. It might have been a product of Quintana's feeling, oh no, I do not have my fastball. I need to figure out a way to get through this and just hope that they start chasing it, which they did. But man, that was wild. If Quintana is understanding the whole like Huascar Ynoa approach and Adbert Alzolay of throwing 45% plus breaking balls, maybe this works. Maybe this is actually the thing that Quintana does to really turn it around. I'm not going to completely ignore it, but it's just weird, guys. It's incredibly weird. And then you have Adam Wainwright, 5.2 innings, 5 earned runs, 7 hits, 3 walks, and 5 Ks against the Mets. The Mets are waking up, as I mentioned before. The reason I wanted to mention this is that it's Rocky Road next. You might be thinking, oh, all right, Adam Wainwright, you had a nice run. We're done with you. No. Stick around. It's Rocky Road next. They're hosting the Rockies in St. Louis. You absolutely want to hold Adam Wainwright for that. Okay, looking forward to today. Here is Mark with the weather. Thanks, Mark. Today's streamer is Justin Dunn versus the Baltimore Orioles. I think Justin Dunn, with increased velocity and a very good slider, the improving one, I think he can take advantage of this fantastic outing, or matchup, I should say. And as always, I'd like to take a question from the Twitch chat during this podcast. Today's from Style Kanzel, who asked, would you rather have for the rest of the season Daniel Lynch or Johan Oviedo? It's a very good question. Oviedo, as I mentioned, I'm excited long-term. I think his stuff is really good, but I think his command needs a little bit more help, and it's going to be more volatile. While I could see Daniel Lynch long-term here through the year, it's like short long-term. Like, I wonder if Oviedo next year or so can really form into that stuff and improve that command with more innings. But I would say Daniel Lynch probably has a better foundation, and we did not see the best of it last night, so I would probably go with Daniel Lynch there. But hey, I really hope Oviedo really impresses me tonight. That'll be really, really fun against the Mets. But that's going to do it for today. If you don't have PL Plus, you really should support what we're doing with this podcast. You get a much better website experience. And of course, you get the best fantasy baseball community out there on Discord. We have 900 members now. It's absolutely crazy. We're just talking baseball all day long. We're staying up to date with news and injuries and lineups and everything you want. So definitely go sign up for that, pitcherlist.com/plus. But that's going to do it for today. So my name is Nick Pollack, and that is everything you need to know.